We're going to look at two major regions in the world and how they're affected by piracy and maritime aggression. The Indian Ocean region, a little bit boring for me, so I'm going to go pretty fast through that, and West Africa, which is much more interesting. Why are we talking to you? We are the largest maritime risk management company in the world right now. We started as a private maritime security company, but evolved because of our services. And I'm not going to bore you with a commercial pitch. It's all this stuff. We're widely approved, widely certified, have significant exposure in both areas, so pretty much we know what we're talking about. I love pictures, so this basically shows what we do, where we do it. So green is clients and red is operations. You have one client in Russia, half the world goes green, which is fantastic. This is the one-year incident map for the areas that we're going to talk about. I've left the Americas out, which are up and happening. As you know, there was an incident in Mexico, but that most probably has to do with other factors that we can't really discuss in a room like this. So starting with the Indian Ocean, and I apologize that I have to turn. I've asked Apostolos many times to have a monitor for me because I can't do it otherwise, but anyway, sorry for turning my back on you. 27 reported incidents in the Indian Ocean for the past 1 year. This slide is very recent, out of which 10 were attacks. And by attack, we mean a vessel that has been shot at one way or another. Within these attacks, we also have the vessels that were bombed, mined, or whatever else happened to them in Fujairah, the Gulf of Oman, and the Straits of Hormuz. Of course, in the Gulf of Guinea, things are entirely different. And we have the beautiful numbers of 164 reported incidents. And that's just the reported incidents to the MDAT Gulf of Guinea, so issued by the IMB. There are many more that go unreported. 32 attacks and 41 hijackings. I should remember these numbers, but they change all the time, especially in West Africa. So these are significant numbers. By hijacking, we mean that a vessel was boarded by aggressors and crew was taken for ransom. Right, Somali-based piracy. So I have a lot of people tell me that there are no pirates in Somalia anymore. And I tend to agree and disagree because it's just changed. People like us have done too much of a good job in the Gulf of Aden, and the pirates are now afraid. It's not just that, though. They also turned their business model. So basically, what they're doing is they've turned into merchants. However, on the 21st of April, we had one significant incident, 270 nautical miles southeast of Mogadishu, which included 2 international fishing vessels, big ones, 100-meter ships. The attack was repelled by an armed team that was on board only one of those 2 vessels. EU NAVFOR Atalanta confirmed this incident and the Pirate Action Group as being active from Eil, Haradere. Okay, I have to turn again. Between Puntland and Somaliland, there is basically a corridor that is lawless, and that is a buffer zone between those 2 states so that they don't meet as they disagree on their border. It's like a buffer zone so that they don't fight each other all the time. This buffer zone is used by Al-Shabaab to transport weapons, narcotics, and people from the African continent in general to the Arabian Peninsula. So basically, the pirates have now turned into merchants. They cross the Gulf of Aden, and they transport the weapons, the drugs, and the people. This allows them 3 major things to continue their business. 1, they get money for it. 2, they maintain their seagoing capabilities, skiffs, outboard engines, weapons, and so on. And 3, most importantly for me, is that they still have maritime domain awareness, sometimes much better than the armed units that are in the region. So this poses a continuous threat because whenever we stop having guards on board ships or whenever the navies are too busy doing something else, they might find the opportunity to perform successful attacks. The war in Yemen does overspill into the maritime domain, but that doesn't affect everybody. It mostly affects Saudi interests and the odd vessel that gets attacked because, well, Houthis made a mistake. But I'm not going to touch too much on this. I'm not going to touch too much on this either, but it's interesting to mention these are hybrid attacks. What happened at Fujairah anchorage in the Gulf of Oman, the Steno Impera also is a very interesting incident. But these are state-sponsored acts or acts of extreme terrorism, so there's very little that people can do about them proactively. However, there are measures that can be deployed on board ships that are going into the Persian Gulf and are concerned about the security situation. I'm spending more time clicking than I am talking, sorry. Eastern Nigeria, oil-producing region of Nigeria, this is where most of the incidents happen, of course, and there's a good reason to that. These are my buddies, of course. So I'm going to talk a little bit about militancy. Okay, what happens in Nigeria? Nigeria is a federal state, as we all know. Local governments are supposed to receive money from the federal government from the exports of crude. When that doesn't happen, the local government will release the militia in order to perform incidents, attacks, to put pressure on the federal government to pay down, etc., and so forth. However, that is intelligence-led, and it's controlled. If we want, we can stop it. The problem, the big problem, is various gangs that do opportunistic attacks, because you never know when they're going to hit, how hard they're going to hit, and what they're going to do from then on. In principle, though, when crew is abducted, they want to keep them in good condition, because that's what they get paid for, and they want business continuity. Cameroon. Until very recently, Cameroon was considered to be a super safe place. And in my opinion, it still is. However, it is excluded from additional premiums because nobody expected attacks in Douala Anchorage, for example. However, on the 15th of August, a day during which in my country we celebrate a very big religious holiday, two vessels were boarded and crew were taken. One of those vessels was Greek. It was the Victory Sea, and 9 people were taken from it. The other vessel was a German one, Marmalaita. 7 crew were taken from it. Douala is not safe anymore. Togo. Too much bad press for us Greeks. Anyway, another Greek vessel was boarded and crew was taken. 4 people from this vessel, one of which is a Greek cadet, only 19 years old. The strange thing about this ship is that it had an armed team on board. I'm happy to say that it wasn't us, or else I would be too embarrassed to be here. It was somebody else, I guess, and the perpetrators went on board. It was late at night. Only one guard was on duty. He realized what was happening. Eventually, he got shot in the leg, and that was the end of the story. So now we're waiting for negotiations to be concluded in order to arrange for the release of the crew. This is Cotonou. Just 2 days earlier than the incident in Lome, we had this Norwegian vessel from which, if I'm not mistaken, 7 people have been taken. 9 people have been taken. Okay. These are both situations where the attacks have happened in Anchorage. The first one was there doing STS operations. This one was waiting for its berthing position. So the bad guys, they look pretty bad. Yeah, anyway. But these are the good guys, and we look pretty good too. So that's one of our vessels, the Peppel, my favorite. That's why I have its picture there. Come on, clicker. It's like training your dog. Click, click, click. What I'm trying to show with these pictures is that it's not all crazy. If you want to do business in West Africa, you can do it as long as you have the proper risk mitigation measures, and they are available. And to be honest, none of our clients have ever had an incident. So we not only protect the people, the ship and the cargo, we also protect the reputation of the business, and business continuity for that matter. Oh, come on. So the solution for West Africa is basically what I just said. You need to do a proper risk mitigation. You need to have vigilance, of course, proper risk mitigation measures, which entail a proper risk evaluation from your part. And one of the important things here is to work with a legitimate provider. If you're not working with somebody that's doing the job above line, then you run the danger of getting into conflict or situations with the local authorities and all that, and it's very often in West Africa. So these are the services that we provide. I'm not going to say one by one. I'm just going to say that our focus has always been and always will be on protecting people. That's the first priority. Everything else comes next. More pictures of good guys. This is one of our teams, and actually this was a team supporting a project here in Southeast Asia. And you'll be surprised to see weapons and all that in Southeast Asia, because you've heard that this is not the proper response for here. However, this project was very specific. It was the largest FLNG the world has ever seen, and we escorted it from South Korea to Western Australia, where it's currently operating. Unique operation for this region. And I have a minute and a half to spare, so I'm going to say a joke. No, I'm not. Thank you.